Inofal HB, and Danopil. Myself, Swami Sankalp Sane, the Associate Marketing Manager. Welcome Dr. Ritu Santwani and Madam Dr. Professor Kulvinder Kochar Kaur, Madam. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you, Sankal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sankal.
Yes. About Inoke licenses, we are engaged in marketing specialized innovative products across the country in the field of infertility as well as pregnancy care. To begin this session, first, I would like to introduce our eminent speaker, Dr. Ritu Santwani. Madam is specialized in field of IVF infertility test tube baby, having 20 years of experience in the field of obs and gynae. Doctor is director at Pune Test Tube Baby Center and having expertise in the field of IUI, ICSI, IVF, assisted aging, egg embryo donation, surrogate mother male infertility, semen banking, embryo freezing, sexual and psychological problems, and try to give moral and emotional support to infertility patients. So, Dr. Ritu Madam, welcome for this show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me have a honor to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Professor Madam Kulvinder Kochar Kaur from Chandigarh. Madam, welcome. About Madam, Madam is a consultant at Kalavati Saran Children's Hospital, Junior Residency MD Department of Obs and Gynae at PGIMER Chandigarh. Doctor is consultant and gynecologist at King Fedov Hospital, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Consultant at SKS Memorial Hospital, Ludhiana. Madam won Honorable Mary Pickford Prize for first in anatomy in LHMC and SKS, first prize in pathology and microbiology in Delhi. Moreover, Dr. Devi Chand Memorial Gold Medal and R. Vishwanathan Prize awarded first in general medicine in LHMC and Delhi University, respectively by the late Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Madam won bronze medal for 22nd in PGIMER Chandigarh. Doctor was also awarded Certificate of Proficiency in Biochemistry and Physiology, Social and Preventive Medicine and Clinical Medicine. So it's our honor and pleasure to have you with us on this show. Over to you, Doctor, and welcome, Doctor. Over to you, Dr.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, Sankal, and thank you, InnovaCare Life Sciences, for always helping us academically. First of all, a very, very warm welcome to my very, very dearest Kulvinder ma'am. Ma'am, दिल से स्वागत है.
Thank you, Ritu.
Ma'am, this lovely flowers for you from my side.
Thank you. Welcome. I love roses.
Yes. So this lovely roses for my lovely Kulvinder ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So friends, a very good evening to all of you. As all of you know, in this my show, the Pundit and Dr. Ritu show, in this show, I always invite the persons who are very knowledgeable and who always believe that on the concept that knowledge is always increases by the sharing. In this show, I interview the people whom I admire and from whom I have learned a lot. And only I prefer to discuss on the topics on which I am also very passionate, and those who are very much helpful and also believe that they will also share some good points. So friends, with this I'm very much honored and so happy to invite our very dear Kulvinder ma'am. Kulvinder ma'am, as Mr. Sankalp has introduced the Kulvinder ma'am, but Kulvinder ma'am के लिए वो इंट्रोडक्शन अब बहुत छोटा है. अब आप में से जो लोग मेरे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, मेरे जो 5 एकेडमिक ग्रुप चलते हैं, उसमें सभी में कुलविंदर मैम है. एंड मींस आई थिंक वर्ड्स आर लेस to admire the Kulvinder ma'am. Ma'am is always ready at any time to help anybody. Besides that, ma'am is a very, very inspiring personality. So, ma'am, I want to first speak 2 lines for you. Then I am going to start the program.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Ritu.
Yeah. So, अभी मैम के लिए ये है 2 words. उम्र थका नहीं सकती, ठोकरें गिरा नहीं सकती. उम्र थका नहीं सकती, ठोकरें गिरा नहीं सकती. अगर जीतने की जिद हो तो परिस्थितियां हरा नहीं सकती. अगर जीतने की जिद हो तो परिस्थितियां हरा नहीं सकती. So again, a very, very warm welcome, dear ma'am. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Ma'am is the one who is always ready to support us emotionally, educationally, everything ma'am is, because this is my personal experience. When I am very depressed or I am facing for bad face. Ma'am was the one who is constantly WhatsApping me and sending me such a good, inspiring quotes. So, ma'am, now I am going to start my session. नहीं तो हम आपकी तारीफ करते रहेंगे पूरा आधा घंटा उसमें खत्म हो जाएगा. Yeah. So, friends, as all of you know, the topic today, what I am going to discuss today is the mystery of endometriosis. And as all of you know, thus endometriosis is an enigma wrapped in the riddle, surrounded by the mystery. It is quoted by the Sir Winston Churchill. So all of you know this. Everything is mysterious about the endometriosis, from diagnosis to up to treatment. In India, the incidence is reported 5 to 20%, and 30 to 40% of endometriosis patients mostly reported with the infertility. So, ma'am, my first question to you, that how to approach this endometriosis patient? How to means what are the some salient points for this?
Yeah, my basic issue is to discuss the practical points. And firstly, from the topic, you have kept the mystery of endometriosis. Why is it mysterious? The thing is, there are 1001 etiologies given for etiopathologist given for endometriosis. One is that retrograde menstruation occurs. Question is, some say that right at birth it gets triggered with the withdrawal of estrogens. Question is, the same thing occurs in practically each and every woman. Why every woman doesn't get it? That is one question that nobody has been able to answer. Now, so many etiopathologist have been given, for which newer and newer agents have come, and till date we have not found a permanent solution. Another enigma is that it is one of the things which is common to all autoimmune disorders. This endometriosis is an autoimmune disorder, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, and besides it has commonality with all that have angiogenesis and proliferation as common, like in psoriasis, multiple sclerosis, diabetic retinopathy, tumor metastasis. It has commonalities with all those things. So iska etiopatology itself is so complicated. We keep on saying that retrograde menstruation, and in the abdomen, endometrial foci are there which cyclically bleed. Now the question is, normally our immune system is so great that this it starts with activated macrophages in the endometrium, in the peritoneum. Now, why these macrophages fail to destroy this endometrial cells? That is another question that has not been answered. And now other theories that are coming are endometrial stromal cells are also retrograde coming, and lot of work is being done on those endometrial stromal cells. And newer theory treatments are getting targeted toward that. Now, bone marrow stromal cells have also been implicated, and newer thing they are working on extracellular vesicles, which they are trying as biomarkers, as well as the role of these vesicles in fertilization from granulosa cell as well as implantation. So now coming to the question you raised, the practical point. So
Yes, ma'am.
most of the questions in the groups I find the youngsters ask that how do I treat this particular patient of mine? Now we have to divide them according to what the patient wants. Whether she has come for treatment of pain, whether she has come for treatment of infertility, both are together, or only a single thing is there, and as per age. Again, adolescent endometriosis has to be treated differently. A patient in the middle group, age group has to be treated differently, and in the older age group, we have to treat them differently. So, accordingly, now once you ask the questions, I'll answer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So, ma'am, my next question: what's the etiology for regarding the pain in the endometriosis patient?
See, for that, it is very complicated. They have found that as the endometriosis, we say that it is a retrograde menstruation, endometrium has come. Basically, without angiogenesis, this endometrium just can't remain there. The basic etiology behind this growing is the angiogenesis. For that, there is a vicious theory that is given that once these activated macrophages are not getting destroyed, they produce pro-inflammatory cytokines. And with those pro-inflammatory cytokines, what happens is we get a lot of tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL beta, and these stimulate transcription factors like nuclear factor kappa beta and activation protein. This goes and acts on the nucleus, and from there further it triggers the other pathways that stimulate the production of VEGF that helps in propagating and ultimately angiogenesis occurs. Once angiogenesis starts, this vicious cycle starts. Lot of new blood vessels start coming. Once there is a lot of angiogenesis, what it stimulates simultaneously neurogenesis. They found a lot of high neurotropic nerve growth factor that stimulates nerve growth in these endometriotic foci. Another thing is these patients who have got high degree of pain, they have got low amount of gray matter in their brains, it has been found. So there are 3-4 theories that they've given. Another thing is the kisspeptin levels are lower in the deep endometriosis. So individualized, they are trying to see how to approach the pain according to the nerve growth factor, according to the MRI of the lady. That's how they are trying to simplify the thing.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, before I ask the other question, ma'am, Nishant is welcoming you. Dr. Mandar is also joined from our academic group. Dr. Shushila Kunte is also joined from academic group. अभी कुछ नाम मैंने आपको बोले मैम, आगे बोलती जाऊंगी. बहुत सारे लोग ज्वाइन हो गए अभी अपने academic group से.
Okay.
Yeah. So, ma'am, now my next question is coming regarding this medical therapy. What's your opinion regarding the medical therapy, and what is the best choice for the medical therapy?
See, again, medical therapy depends whether the patient wants only treatment for infertility. If the patient wants treatment for infertility, then we have to again divide whether she's got pain as well as infertility or infertility alone. Now, in case of pain with infertility, in those patients, we don't use these things like hormonal contraceptives, progesterones like Dynogest, because all of them will be suppressing the egg growth and desire for fertility. So and even the selective progesterone receptor modulators like Mifigest that I'm very fond of, but we cannot use because with all of these, we can't go for fertility therapy. So accordingly, we have to plan that we just give them NSAIDs and rest. Newer drugs are being tried like resveratrol, which is a plant product. Pentoxifylline is being tried. Those which don't interfere with ovulation or anything. And then again the question comes whether this infertile patient has got endometriomas, how big these endometriomas are. Accordingly, we subdivide and we plan.
Yeah, my next question is coming to that only, ma'am. Ma'am, as we have discussed so many times, they are in the group also regarding this ovarian endometrioma. So, ma'am, for this ovarian endometrioma before the IVF, so means ovarian endometrioma incidence is reported up to 60%. So, ma'am,
Yes.
what you suggest means is this laparoscopic cystectomy is better, or TBS aspiration, or the other technique as Yajini ma'am has discussed on that day? What's your experience, ma'am?
See, I have got practically over 30 years of experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Initially, what we were doing is because we had as partners, one of the person was a laparoscopic surgeon. So we were calling a person from Mumbai, and we were getting all of them operated before IVF. Problem was the recurrence rate was so high, and it never helped in the pregnancy rate. And as far as down the line I've come, and all these European studies and all, they found that you do surgery or not, the result pregnancy rates are practically same. The latest opinion I read of some 10 renowned doctors from Europe, they have come to 10 do's and don'ts. They
Okay.
said never touch on an endometrioma less than 4 centimeter.
Yeah.
Never try to do a laparoscopy in adolescent endometriosis. One second.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Never do this. There are a lot of things, but the most important thing from my practical experience, I found that I agree with Yasini. I try to see problem happens is when there are big endometriomas. Technically, we face problems in our ovulation scan, etc. And during the pickup, we might infect our eggs with that blood. So, what I advocate is that you do a transvaginal aspiration and inject this lupride and ceftriaxone and sulbactam
Okay.
because I came across a patient who had 4 laparotomies and
Okay.
endometrium bilateral, maybe around 10 centimeter huge, and her pain was not going. She used to spend sleepless nights, and ultimately open and close, open and close. She had come with open and close, and he came and folded, please save her life, we don't want any fertility, just remove a uterus. I said it is not possible to remove uterus, there will be a problem of injuring the intestines. So what I did is I did a transvaginal aspiration, and that time I was not using this lupride injection, but I just injected a sclerosing agent, and that patient had been okay for 2 years, but has again come with recurrence. Now I plan to put lupride and this, but the problem is now she's run away because I told her get a COVID test done. So otherwise, I was planning to use this lupride and this because
Okay.
Yasmin found a 75% good results, and whatever series she had quoted, it was very good. So I have come to the final conclusion that better aspirate and cover her with good antibiotics so that on the time of pickup you don't encounter this problem also, and further you can go ahead with the stimulation, because if you are doing laparoscopic surgery, then you have to follow with some additional therapy for at least 3 months, otherwise the recurrence keeps occurring after surgery. Those
Yeah.
rates are very high, and comparisons have been done of laparoscopic cystectomy where they have done proper lasers and everything, not like it is being done in India, where we come with the worst possible scenarios, and they have had horrible endometriosis.
True.
In those cases, they are finding that the IVF ICSI rates were practically similar. And only thing is, after laparoscopic cystectomy, AMH levels were reported to be less. The problem is that AMH, some people say, maybe by itself endometriomas cause lower AMH, and AMH is not a good reliable marker in case of endometriosis.
True.
So they go by enteral follicle count as a better marker. So ultimately, it's been decided better not to go for that and proceed straight with this. And then comes the question whether to use agonist, antagonist before going for IVF. In that case, it has been found that if GnRH agonist downregulation has been done for 3 months, pregnancy rates were better. Problem all over the world they are facing is this GnRH agonist turns out to be very expensive. Patients do not like to use it. And then with international in Holland, a study has been started where they are studying GnRH agonist versus continuous OC for 3 months. Whether this continuous OC can replace that GnRH agonist by which we are getting better pregnancy rates. So that is an ongoing study which results will come by next year or next to next year. So we are awaiting that results. But right now we can start trying OCs for 3 months. Those who can't afford, or I get from the group, madam, this patient can't afford even this much. She can't afford any stimulation. Biggest problem in case of this is the next question: how we stimulate this. Accordingly, then I'll talk.
Yeah, ma'am. In between, I will take some live questions. So many doctors have joined. Ma'am, the question is by Dr. Shushila Kunte. Yeah, thanks for joining. Yeah, she is writing how to prevent or delay the endometriosis in daughters whose mother is diagnosed a case of severe endometriosis and adenomyosis in her 30 years of age. Shall I repeat question, ma'am?
Yeah, Miss. Just repeat the whole thing.
Yeah, ma'am. She's writing how to prevent or delay endometriosis in the daughters whose mother is diagnosed a case of severe endometriosis and adenomyosis in her 30 years of age.
The patient's mother was diagnosed adenomyosis, and this patient, see the daughter, we have to start watching her right from adolescence and keep on doing ultrasound and accordingly keep marking. Right now, they say don't keep on repeating CA125, although that is a biomarker. They are trying to develop new biomarkers like extracellular vesicles. They are trying to find, but right now reproducibility has not been found. So till we get a reliable biomarker, although extracellular vesicles have been shown to contain microRNAs, we may study their if they have on scan any evidence that they are developing, then we start therapy for them right from young age. Right now, there are no studies showing that Dynogest should be used in these young girls. So right now, they still say that keep using OCs. Although Dr. Casper said that oral contraceptives don't use because it has been found that the estrogen component stimulates endometriosis. Although Hugh Taylor did a study on the etiopathophysiciology that it is endometrial stromal cells and the stem cells that are coming, then he said that it is the inhibiting estrogen which is most effective. So the debate starts whether we should start with OCs or we should start with progesterone only. If we it is a young girl, right now it is better we keep on giving OC for a long time. Dynogest turns out to be very expensive because it has to be used. The maximum study that has been done is by Bidavi from Europe. He till now advocates in these young cases, they have given long GnRH depots 11.753 monthly and add back therapy to prevent the bone marrow mineral density depletion. So keep on giving that. Add back will be norethistron 5 milligram, and they gave conjugated estrogen 0.625 milligram. If we are giving 11.75, if we give monthly 3.75, then 1.25 progynova, not this Estradiol valrate, which we use for donor IVF, 1.25 milligram, and we can give medroxyprogesterone acetate 2.5 milligram daily. That will be enough. So accordingly, we can keep.
Ma'am, so the patients who can afford and the adolescent patients, so I think in that patients, the Dynogist will be a good option. The adolescent girls of 16, 17 years, sometimes yesterday only were two patients who are of the age of 14 years and they have done the sonography and even the Google Savvy mother has done the MRI also. They come with to me with all the reports. So ma'am, if the patient is affording, means what I think we can start Dynogist as it is containing only progesterone. What's your opinion, ma'am?
Question is that, see, only recently I have been updating all the information and the latest opinion of 10 biggest these European and reproductive endocrinologists.
Yeah, ma'am.
They have come to the conclusion that this will work out to be very expensive. So best is to give them GnRH this thing till we have got a diagnosis. And they are saying avoid a laparoscopy till you are sure of the diagnosis. So with MRI, how are we sure about the diagnosis? Unless we have done a laparoscopy, that is the only.
True, ma'am. There's a Google Savvy patient herself to do that. We come with the report only. Ma'am, there is other question by Dr. Mandar Ranade. Dr. Mandar, a very dear friend of mine, Mandar is writing, please comment on nerve involvement in endometriosis, especially lumbosacral nerve, more specifically ilioinguinal nerve.
That's what I told. In these cases, I've already explained the etiopathogenesis for those who joined late. I will again repeat if you want.
No, it's okay, ma'am. It's okay. Yeah.
So just in 2 words, it is an increased neurotropic effect of the nerve growth factor which has got increased, and it is a nerve growth factor which is influencing the multiplication of these nerves. So neuroangiogenesis is occurring as well as increased this. And another point is all these patients of endometriosis having a commonality with autoimmune diseases, they have a very high level of interleukin 17. So best is look for IL-17A levels. If you find high interleukin 17A levels, it has been found that if you do a laparoscopic resection, all these things come down. The chemokines that are increased, the TNF alpha, IL-1 beta, all that are increased. All these come down and pain decreased markedly.
Yes, ma'am.
Interleukin 17 if you are not finding any other biomarker.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, there's other question by Dr. Mansha Singh. Yeah, thank you for joining. He is writing, it has been said that any grade of endometriosis for infertility surgery is needed. No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Like you, even in the most severe of endometriosis, I have come across patients who have had surgery in Australia and come with totally no AMH, no follicles at all. So it is only in very, very good hands that surgery. I answered that right in the beginning. That surgery versus this thing, in my experience of long term, I have found after surgery recurrence rate has been so high that I have practically given up surgery. In endometrioma, I just preferred what Yasini does.
Ma'am, there is one question by Dr. Shushila Kunte. She is writing, Madam, since endometriosis is already a hyperestrogenic condition, so giving the combined OCP, which has estrogen component, will not worsen or flare up the disease?
That's what I'm saying. That Dr. Robert Casper was of the opinion that don't give OCs, but give only progesterone. But recently, with the etiology changing, that it is a stem cells, not only from the retrograde menstruation, that are the endometrial stromal cells, but it is a bone marrow stromal cells also that have been found. And he said that right now attacking the CK to all this will not help. The best is to do anti-estrogenic thing.
Yes,
So in
ma'am.
those cases, what I have started doing is, despite all the things that who want fertility don't use mifepristone. In those cases, I prefer to use mifepristone for 3 months. Most of my
Okay.
patients are relieved of pain, but the thing is, the moment you stop it, the pain comes back. So if your patient wants fertility, we can give it for the few months and accordingly keep on pursuing.
So, ma'am, your experience means the same question is by Dr. Anita Srivastav. Dr.
Yes.
Anita has joined us via Facebook. She is writing, then what will be the drug of choice for in the adolescent girls? Ma'am, what you suggest the mifepristone is the
Enriched neurons. Estrogen and all come later. These enriched neurons are stimulated by kisspeptin, and kisspeptin comes from two sources. One is kisspeptin neurons themselves, and second is KNBY neurons. It is these KNBV neurons where they found LH as a surrogate marker. And Bidavi has found that in the endometrium of these patients of endometriosis, kisspeptin levels vary. In deeper endometriosis, lower levels were found, while in superficial peritoneal endometriosis, higher levels were found. So
yeah.
accordingly, they are targeting treatments. Uh, we have some kisspeptin injections available right now, but not at a large scale and must be very expensive right now. As and when they develop, gradually they might replace.
Ma'am, your very personal experience with this kisspeptin injection?
I could never get it available.
Yeah,
In
yes, ma'am.
England, Jaya Sena and all, they are doing a lot of studies. But since I could never make it available for my patients, I have not used it.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, now there is another question by Dr. Nishant, a very brilliant young budding gynecologist. We are discussing the prayer. Yeah, yeah,
American fertility
yeah,
society.
yeah. It's a, yeah. We are discussing towards today the practical take-home messages. What
Yeah.
we can apply in our day-to-day practice. So, ma'am, please enlighten us that what are the disadvantages of this hormonal therapy?
The biggest disadvantage of this hormonal therapy is that if we are using it for long term, we will be inhibiting fertility. That is the biggest disadvantage. Dynogest as a
Yes, ma'am.
otherwise as a long term treatment is a good fourth generation progesterone. Only prohibiting factor is the cost, because endometriosis is not a thing that will go. It is going to recur the moment you stop it. That is the biggest problem. So in those who need infertility, no point of using Dynogest. And in adolescence also, the cost factor will be totally prohibiting. You just don't know for how long she'll get married. So till then, you will keep using Dynogest continuous.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, now I'm coming to the other very important aspect. What's the role of this non-hormonal medical therapy? What's your experience with this mifepristone? You already mentioned you are using in some patients. Any experience with ulipristal? Some studies have come for the ulipristal also.
Ulipristal, I have not been using. I found mifepristone to be very effective. Ulipristal, after that hepatic thing, I have been very cautious not to start it. I'm very happy with using mifepristone. Even in my adenomyosis cases, I have been using mifepristone, and I've got pregnancies immediately after stopping mifepristone. In adenomyosis, spontaneous conception. Even endometriosis cases, a lot of these patients, sometimes you give them and you stop this thing, or you get if you have a very good laparoscopic surgeon who has done a good cleaning job and all, some cases spontaneous pregnancies have been reported, but the thing is, there is no line where you can say that this particular patient you do surgery, here you don't. And
Ma'am, ma'am, mifepristone in what doses you are giving?
I am giving alternate day 50 milligrams.
Okay, 50 ml. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, other question is by Dr. Shushila Kunte. Madam is writing, Madam, kindly elaborate more about add-back therapy given along with GnRH depot.
See, add-back therapy is according to the dose we are giving. If we are giving 11.75 milligram, then we have to give higher dose of estrogen. There, the people who had used 11.75 milligram, they use 5 milligram of norethistérone along with 0.625 milligram of conjugated equine estrogens for these 3 months.
True.
And those who used 3.75, they have been using estradiol valrate 1.25 milligram and 2.5 milligram medroxyprogesterone acetate daily.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, other question is regarding the use of raloxifene for the endometriosis.
See, raloxifene has not been found to be that effective. And then it has been found to have some cardiovascular effects, and it is not recommended.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, your experience with the use of this cabergoline?
See, I did a trial when initially cabergoline and VEGF inhibitors were this thing. I did a comparative study of GnRH agonist vis-a-vis cabergoline, vis-a-vis atorvastatin, vis-a-vis ketoconazole. I found that cabergoline only in very few cases worked, and neither this worked. None of the others, other than GnRH depot, that also means recurrence is occurring. So cabergoline also, and with the proving of mitral regurgitation, they have shifted to quinagoline now. Although good results, they have seen that it is a VEGF suppressor and it is associated with decrease in endometrial stromal cells and decrease in all these TGF, beta, TNF alpha, and all this thing. But the biggest problem is that with the mitral regurgitation, they have given up cabergoline. Only quinagoline is being tried, and that too, not much is being written about that right now.
Ma'am, is it quinagoline is available here?
No,
ma'am. Yes, because cabergoline I have some experience. Quinagoline I never use. Yeah.
No, I did a trial and reported it, and I did not find, so I stopped using it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one more question by Dr. Shushila. First, Dr. Surya Kumari wants to ask how long we can use OC pills in adolescent patients safely?
See, using OCs, problem is that we have to see that what exactly are the ultrasound findings before we decide which treatment has to be given. According to the ultrasound findings, we have to plan whether we can try to go for surgery. The problem is in adolescent endometriosis, they have said that don't go for laparoscopy because recurrence is going to come.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
The problem is long OCs is also not safe. Only thing is one has to keep on ruling out any migraine, any contraindication of thromboembolism. All these have to be kept in mind. But that's why they say right now GnRH is the safest of all, the lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, again, Dr. Shushila, madam is asking any specific marker in present situation to predict if ovarian endometrioma is getting converted to endometrioid ovarian cancer?
Right now, there is no particular marker that is saying that it is getting converted to ovarian cancer. But right now, they say that if the patient doesn't want any fertility or anything, so it is better that don't keep on sitting on that and remove it, because there are certain reports of this endometrioid cancer carcinoma. All the incidence is very low.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, other question, as you mentioned earlier only, regarding the role of this pentoxifylline and resveratrol, have you used in some patients, ma'am?
I have been using resveratrol,
Okay.
not directly, only indirectly. Means I tell them to take a lot of grapes and berries and this thing, cheese, all these sort of things, and a lot of tea, because EGCG
Yeah.
that is present in tea is also supposed to see. Resveratrol has a very very good effect. It
Yeah.
decreases all these. TGF beta, TNF alpha, IL, this thing, all the trials till now have been done in mice. And they found all these markers kept coming down along with the microvessel CD31 markers of microvessels, all this UVEC that forms, all these came down. Although right now the models they've used in mice are not very good, but since on resveratrol I have done a lot of studies regarding prevention of cancers as well. So right now we don't have resveratrol available as such. So I am just telling them to consume this diet specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, any role of this COX-2 inhibitors?
Yeah, see, about COX-2 inhibitors, they did, see, right now all these studies have been only in animals. COX-2 inhibitors also, they have done animal studies, and they found that COX-2 inhibitors are effective again in lowering this all these cytokines and chemokines. But it was found that telmisartan, that is an antihypertensive, that see, there are roles of PPAR agonists. Telmisartan has a role of PPAR agonism as well as on angiotensin 1 receptor. That was found to be more effective than all this celecoxib and relecoxib. Relecoxib was found to be effective, but relecoxib was removed from the market because of the effect on heart. Celecoxib, etc. is there. Now what this Lashke, etc. have done studies of trying to use parecoxic and telmisartan together. Telmisartan has a problem that COX-2 is increased with that. But when they give telmisartan along with parecoxib, they found that they had synergistic effect in suppressing endometriosis. But all these have been in animal studies only. We have the advantage that telmisartan is being used as an antihypertensive. So all our hypertensive patients, we must put on telmisartan so that we get this additional effect. That's what I have started doing practically.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Because I was going to ask you about the other question for the telmisartan, but you have already covered. Yeah, ma'am, your experience with the use regarding the statins, there is a lot of studies are coming for the use of statins.
Statins, as I told you, atorvastatin and all, they are said to be effective in lowering, and the problem is they do not even inhibit ovulation. But the studies that have been done with statins, they found that there was no efficacy in improving the pregnancy rate with or without statins. So it was given up.
Yeah.
I have used statins to find that That's why I told you I compared Caberlin, statins, GNH, and ketoconazole. I compared all this and gave them all up because did not find any benefit.
Ma'am, ketoconazole in what doses you tried?
I have forgotten because I gave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, share some study for related to that in our academic group whenever you get time. Yeah. Ma'am, my other question is that some studies have come regarding this role of this rosiglitazone for the endometriosis.
That's what I was telling you. That rosiglitazone is a PPAR agonist.
Yeah.
Rosiglitazone and pioglitazone.
Yes,
See,
ma'am.
both of them are efficacious, but telmisartan has more efficacy than pioglitazone and rosiglitazone. So, if at all you have to use a PPR agonist, you prefer to use telmisartan. Although all this now the people are not advocating using this because of the problems they've encountered with rosiglitazone, pioglitazone regarding the liver and other problems.
True.
So they are not recommending using it. Although in my diabetic patients, I have been controlling with pioglitazone and I found good use.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, my other question is regarding the use of letrozole, anastrozole. So many companies are also coming these days with different combinations. Yes,
See,
ma'am.
in the case of pain, I have tried to use letrozole along with OCs. Totally failure. Except for mifepristone, none of them was able to control pain. So I prefer either we do this aspiration and use Yasini's technique of injecting it with that, and then give initially GNH depot, or I have not found much benefit of using letrozole and anastrozole.
Okay. Thank you,
And
sir.
this study is also so told that out of this letrozole, celecoxib and all, it was COX2 inhibitors which were better. So right now they are trying another plant extract, glyceride or something like that. That is they are still in the budding stages. They are trying to use that because they are more efficacious than these particular.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Vaibhav, please check on the Facebook what are the queries. Yesterday also so many queries are left. Later on all are pinging me कि ma'am आपने मेरा question नहीं लिया. Please check on the Facebook if any queries. Copy paste here. So ma'am, with this my questions are finishing what I have in my mind. So ma'am, thank you so much. Till the Vaibhav is checking what are the questions on the online we have received. So friends, I think all of you must agree with me that endometriosis is a gynecologist dilemma. It is a debilitating disease with no cure. Everything is in dilemma in this. So I think all of you agree with me on this quote of this Sir William Osler, who has quoted, "He who knows the endometriosis, he knows the full gynecology." But
another quote I remember.
Yes, sir.
In one of the clinical reviews I wrote right now, I wrote about a Socrates quote. No, that after his full life, he wrote that I know nothing. That is a quote with one of the big European gynecologists also wrote, or something, that endometriosis, we for decades we have been working on it, yet we know nothing, like Socrates said.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, once again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that you accepted the invitation and honored us for coming in this show. So, ma'am, I know that you are diabetic, you mentioned also. So, from ma'am, my side, this Cadbury Bonville, sugar-free dark chocolate for you.
Thank you so much. One more point I will add. In case of adolescent endometriosis, what they found that the American Society of Endocrinologists, they found that on laparoscopy, the look of adolescent endometriosis is slightly different from the adult one. Bright red, velvety, polypoidal. So that and the recent endometriosis on laparoscopy looks more red, while the older ones develop the scars and all.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for adding this. So I think friends, we all are getting inspired by the कुलविंदर मैम की लाइफ एक खुद ही बहुत बड़ा इंस्पिरेशन है. मैम ने इतनी मुश्किलों के बाद भी she has come out and she is always inspiring to each and every one of us. मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता कि कई बार तो ऐसा होता है कि ग्रुप्स तो मैंने बना दिए लेकिन मैं तो उसमें इतना जवाब नहीं दे पाती हूँ, but मैम is giving each and everyone the answers also. मैम, again there are 2 lines dedicated to you. So चुनौतियां सबक हैं जिंदगी की, इनसे मजबूर नहीं मजबूत बनने का प्रयास करें. That's all we have learned from our Kulvinder ma'am. So thank you so much, ma'am. So
for this, I'll give you an example that the Supreme Soul cites.
Yeah.
He says, like that girl who met with an accident, her leg got broken. She was an athlete. She had a very good athlete, a runner, and एक लाख छूट गई. So most people will lose हिम्मत. She planned कि मैंने वो climb करना है Himalayas. And she managed. And he says that lady, आप उससे कोई भी दुनिया की पहाड़ी चढ़वा दो, she will reach. हिम्मते मदद खुदा.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So over to you, Sankalp. So thank you, Sankalp. Thank you, Deepanji has also joined, and thank you, InnovaCare Life Sciences, for always helping us in this academic programs. Yeah, over to you, Sankalp.
Thank you, Kulvinder ma'am. It was very informative and interactive session, and we have a brand for treatment of endometriosis as well. It is a brand containing Dynogest 2 milligram. Dynopil is the brand name, ma'am. And as you rightly mentioned, this is the 4th generation progestin.
Yeah. I told you that Dynogest is a very stimulating drug. It is a 4th generation. The biggest problem is the cost factor. That's why I have not been using. Yeah. So I tend to give the cheaper MPA or norethistyrone, etc. because Dynogest works out to be very expensive for these patients who have to keep on taking throughout life. You never know for years. Otherwise, it's a very good new drug, and I advocate it, especially when it has to be used for small periods, like in people who have finished their fertility thing and have to only use for some years in the later life. Then we can think of using it. But right now, it prohibits the cost for a long use.
Yeah. Second thing, ma'am, we are there. We will assist your patients. Let us know, and we will definitely travel level west to assist your patient and make them, in a affordable manner.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So with this, friends, we are winding up today's session. So please block your next Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, 15th August, we are having with us Dr. Deepak Jomani sir with us on a very interesting topic, the freedom from male erectile dysfunction. And 16th, we are having Dr. Sharmila Majumdar with us on the topic, how the sexual dysfunction in the COVID times, how to manage, what's the incidence and how to manage. So thank you once again. Okay, bye-bye. With this, we are winding off. Yeah. Thank you, Sankalp. Yeah, bye.